Instructor Lorian led the largest group of interstellar children in the entire academy. Students from various planets across the universe participated in his classes, where they not only acquired knowledge but also learned about each other's cultures and histories. However, issues arose when Amina, the first human child to attend the academy, joined the class. The other students found Amina to be a mystery, as her home planet, Earth, was shrouded in lore, often referred to as a forbidden world or simply uninhabitable. Instructor Lorian believed this reputation was the reason Amina often found herself eating lunch alone in a dimly lit corner of the common area. He had witnessed many times her attempts to connect with her classmates, but they were too apprehensive to engage with the human newcomer. Determined to bridge this gap, Lorian decided to show his students how similar they all were, regardless of their origins. After all, every world had its dangers, and what world didn't have uninhabitable regions? With this perspective, Lorian was confident that the fears surrounding Amina would dissipate, allowing friendships to blossom. He assigned the class a project. In 3 weeks, each of you will create a video presentation about your home planet, highlighting its dangers, both animal and geological. He informed them that this project would count for 40% of their final grade, encouraging them to put forth their best effort. Amina, being the only human in the school, diligently worked on her assignment, focusing on the threats posed by her home planet. On presentation day, she was set to be the third student to present. As she sat nervously, she was eager to learn about the dangers on her classmates' worlds. The first presentation came from a trio of students from the planet Zenth, who passionately detailed the deadly fauna of their world. They showcased a video featuring a small, agile creature that walked on 4 legs and had strikingly sharp features. "Watch closely," one student exclaimed as they showed the creature interacting with a dangling piece of cloth. The animal hissed and lunged at the cloth, revealing its razor-like claws in a flash. "Did you see that?" the presenter shouted, pointing at the screen. "Those claws could have torn through flesh with ease." A round of applause and excited murmurs filled the classroom as the presenters, beaming with pride, took their seats. However, Amina seemed unfazed, her expression one of confusion. Noticing her bewilderment, Instructor Lorian asked, "Do you have a question, Amina?" With a puzzled look, she replied, "But instructor, wasn't that just a domestic cat?" A ripple of laughter spread through the class, prompting Lorian to raise his hand for silence while suppressing a smile. "No, Amina, that creature is far from a pet. It's a fierce predator." Still confused, Amina nodded and awaited the next presentation. As the second presentation began, the students warned that while the previous creature was dangerous, nothing was more terrifying than what they called the shadow from above. They elaborated on how a menace from their planet could swoop down at any moment, causing panic and chaos. The dramatic music in the background built suspense as the video introduced a vividly colored flying beast with a curved beak. "Claws are one thing," a presenter said, "but watch the power of this creature." The video displayed the flying creature cracking open a tough seed, the sound echoing through the room. The class erupted in excitement. "What if that had been a hand? We're lucky we don't have those on our world." Amina watched, confused, before raising her hand. "But that looks just like a parakeet." Silence enveloped the classroom as whispers of "she's just envious" and "how rude" circulated. Instructor Lorian grew concerned, realizing his plan might be failing. He had always seen Amina as kind, but her behavior today seemed off. "All right, Amina," he said with a hint of firmness, "please come up and share your presentation." To his bewilderment, Amina hesitated. "Instructor, I think I may have misunderstood the assignment," she finally confessed. "I thought we were meant to showcase the dangers of our world, not the threats posed by our pets." Lorian was taken aback. "Pets?" he exclaimed. "That creature could never be a pet." Amina looked crushed and muttered something under her breath. "What did you say?" Lorian demanded. A classmate stood up and added, "My little sister has a silly parakeet." Lorian glared at Amina. "You will present now, or I'll have to inform your guardians, and you'll receive a 0 for this project." With great reluctance, Amina walked to the front of the class, feeling the weight of their judgment. She knew this was social suicide. Her classmates, who barely acknowledged her as it was, would surely turn their backs after this. But if they wanted her presentation, she would deliver it. "Today I'll share the dangers we face on my home planet, Earth." A blue sphere of a planet appeared on the screen, slowly rotating to reveal her continent. "We contend with creatures that show no fear," she began, as an image of a squat beast appeared on the monitors. The scene shifted to a stunning landscape blanketed in white. Suddenly, the creature erupted from beneath the surface, sending snow flying everywhere. The class screamed in shock, prompting Amina to pause the video. The word Wolverine appeared over the fierce visage of the creature. "What is that?" a student asked, pointing at the monitor. "It's a wolverine," Amina replied, her voice low. "They are quite dangerous, but—" "What's all that white stuff?" another student interrupted. Confused, Amina stared at the screen, struggling to explain. "That's snow." "Snow?" the student echoed back, puzzled. And just like that, Amina realized how vast the differences between their worlds truly were. Confused, Amina replied, "Snow is just rain that freezes before it hits the ground." A gasp of alarm escaped from one of her classmates. "Your rain freezes in the air? Like outside, not in a lab?" Amina shrugged. "Yeah, for about 25 to 40% of the year, depending on where you are." A heavy silence followed her words. "Anyway," she continued, unpausing the presentation, "you can see that the wolverine is so aggressive it's willing to attack predators much larger than itself." She showed a video of a small but ferocious creature snarling and advancing against a massive grizzly bear. "What in the universe is that?" a student screamed, pointing at the enormous, muscle-bound creature on the screen. Pausing the presentation again, Amina glanced at the screen and then back at the student. "What? The bear? Those things are all over your planet?" the student stammered, shaking in their seat. "All over? How are you even alive?" Amina laughed. "Oh, bears are dangerous, all right, but there are much worse things on Earth than bears." "You must be joking," a voice said, and it took Amina a second to realize it was her instructor, sitting in his chair, visibly shaking with fear and disbelief. Smiling faintly, she fast-forwarded her presentation to a scene of warm, calm water. 71% of my planet is covered in water," she said, as images of creatures like fish, crabs, seahorses, and squid appeared on the screen. "We even have what we call seals," she said, glancing at Ellen, a seal-like alien classmate whose resemblance to an anthropomorphic seal was uncanny. Ellen grinned widely as he watched the seals playing and leaping in the water. "We also have sharks," Amina continued, and out of nowhere a massive great white shark appeared on the screen, chasing and biting into one of the seals. A rush of red colored the water as chunks of flesh sank into the depths. Ellen sat frozen, his mouth open in silent horror. Stop it, he cried, his voice trembling. "But," the instructor, Amina protested, "I haven't even mentioned the vampire bats that tear your skin to drink your blood, or the crocodiles, lions, snakes, scorpions, and spiders." "Stop! You..." "Instructor Lorian," gasped, clutching his chest. Elena stared at Amina in terror. "How did your people even survive?" he asked. "Because," Amina replied calmly, glaring at the wide-eyed, terrified faces of her classmates, "the deadliest creature on Earth is humans." With that, she returned to her seat. As she walked down the aisle, she couldn't help but notice her classmates shying away from her in fear. When lunchtime arrived, Amina sat alone, sadness washing over her. She knew her presentation had sealed her fate. She would spend the rest of her school days in isolation. Nibbling at her sandwich, her appetite long gone, she suddenly felt a shadow fall over her. Looking up, she saw Elin, the seal-like student, standing over her. "You were amazing," Elin said earnestly. "Have you ever seen a shark in real life?" Surprised but pleased, Amina replied, "Yes, my uncle and I caught one while fishing once, but it wasn't as big as the one in the presentation." "You caught one?" Elin said, impressed. "Imagine catching a beast like that." Another shadow fell across her as another student asked, "Can you tell me more about those vampire bats? They sound terrifying." Soon more students gathered around, all eager to hear about her experiences. Amina tried her best to answer their questions, but there were simply too many. When lunch ended, she found herself surrounded by curious classmates as they walked back to the classroom. Looking out the window, Instructor Lorian smiled to himself. It may not have gone exactly as planned, but it had worked. He returned to grading Amina's assignment, trying to watch more of her presentation during the lunch break. However, he gave up when he saw what a piranha did to a large, docile herbivore. Chuckling softly to himself, he muttered under his breath, "If she survived that place, she definitely deserves an A."